Mike had been in our district working with a couple of departments, and so a team of administrators had identified Mike as a good match for what we were looking for. We were looking for ways to improve the instructional practices in the classroom. Everything from differentiation to use of assessments, and Mike helped guide us in our planning. We decided we were going to do multiple days with a first group of core teachers. And we identified that group of teachers based on teachers that potentially might be ninth grade academy teachers. We hoped in the fall of 2010 to establish a ninth grade academy, and this group of teachers had been identified as possible teachers for that program. This professional development really became the glue that tied that original group together. They really didn't know each other, and so Mike started a lot on ground one with them in terms of getting them to know one another. Large high school, about 250 teachers, everybody doesn't know one another. And so starting from there. And the formations of our ninth grade academy really came out of that professional development in that first year with Mike. He returned to the following school year to continue with what we began calling Core Group 1. He had a number of days with them spread out in the course of the next school year. And then we brought in another group of teachers, what we called Core Group 2. We are now currently with Core Group 5, so we have passed a 50% mark within our staff that have all experienced Mike's differentiated instruction. That structure of focusing on a targeted group of teachers really worked for us. That first group was ninth grade academy. We pulled in a few more teams in our second core group and then began working on 10th grade. And until we got to the fifth group, it was really a very targeted by invitation only, to the point that we had teachers in the building that were saying, hey, what about me? And this last group that we just did in April was a self-selection, put out an all-call to the building and those that wanted to be a part of the training with Mike. And so it was, it's been a great way of sustaining professional development in our building. One of the things that began happening was that Mike would present a particular topic, might be on differentiation or problem-based learning, and he might be with us in the fall, and then teachers would have an opportunity to use that in their classroom, and then Mike might be back in February or in March, and they could really talk about it. And so being able to implement some of the strategies and then getting feedback from Mike. Mike also established, he willingly gave out his email address, and several teachers really, they were like sponges, and they really emailed him and really developed quite a rapport with Mike. On a couple of his visits, he did instructional walks so that he would go around and really get a flavor for what the high school was like. Not just, it wasn't just a shot in the arm in a given professional development, but it was an ongoing, sustained relationship. He got to know Schenectady High School. We got to know what he was bringing to us, and that really developed confidence in what Mike was doing. Our teachers really really felt supported from Mike. He was another person on our team. We would have a professional development opportunity for teachers, and then it would kind of be the flavor of the month, and then we would move on and we would train on something else and then train on something else, and over time a lot of professional development had happened, but maybe not in a very comprehensive long-term approach. And so when we brought Mike in, Mike became part of our school change and the culture change within the building. And we have begun teaming. I mentioned ninth grade academy and our 10th grade academy, and teachers share across those teams, and they have a common language because of what Mike has brought to that table and provided them opportunities for them to grow. The momentum that occurs from all of that, from the teachers collaborating together. We have professional learning communities throughout our school, but they share, they grow. I watched a teacher the other day do a problem-based learning that Mike would be really proud of, seeing how well that went. And his class had done 9 of them in the course of this year's Global History 9 class. And so this was the last one of the year, and they were amazing, and debated you know, the merits of dropping the bombs on Japan during World War II. And it was just an amazing project to see. One of the key concepts that Mike taught right from the beginning was age plus 2. And you know, that concept alone has really changed teachers' perspective on how they should handle their classrooms. I think that our class periods have ranged over the last couple of years between 50 and 60 minutes. It's a long class period. And I think you saw before professional development with Mike, you would see class periods and it would be an activity and it would run till the end, and maybe the last 5 or 10 minutes they might give time to complete homework. But it was very teacher-centered, not as student-centered, and not multiple activities. And what has really occurred now is really changed the complexion of what a classroom, how a teacher plans that classroom period. Right now I'm in the process of doing end of the year teacher evaluations, and it's really quite rewarding to go in and see the standing conversation, the students working in pairs, a classroom that has multiple activities, that each activity is a short period of time. Exit tickets leaving the classroom, and teachers really utilizing formative assessments to determine whether students really do know what was being said. So you see evidence in the classroom that Mike's impact has really been a part of our change.